I'm Guy Hebert, former NHL goaltender. That's the mask.
And I'm Kent French, longtime broadcaster, and that would be the mic.
And we're back together again, this time on a brand new podcast called The Mask and the Mic.
Yes, and this is episode 2, and we do have our very first guest. He's a 17-year Major League Baseball veteran, 15 of those coming with the Angels, and he holds virtually every offensive category for the organization.
Yeah, and not only that, he's a 3-time All-Star, 2003 All-Star Game MVP, and of course, a key contributor to the Angels' 2002 World Series championship team. And hey, he now brings that same insight to the broadcast booth as a TV analyst. Our very first guest on The Mask and the Mic is Angels Hall of Famer. That's right, Garret Anderson. We hope you enjoy the show, and good for us.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Mask and the Mic podcast. Kent French alongside Guy Hebert, and we have a very special guest joining us. Our very first guest. We're honored to have Angel Hall of Famer, my former broadcast partner, and Gibo's occasional golf partner, the one and only Garret Anderson.
And I'm honored to be here. I love you guys both.
I love you, man. This is an honor to have you on the program. And Gibo told me, hey, you know what? I saw GA at the course, and I told him about, possibly being on the podcast. He said he was in. I'm like, oh yes, let's do this. That's awesome. So GA, thanks for hopping on. I did find out the reason you could talk today, the golf course is closed, so you won't be playing today.
No, I won't.
Well, listen, I mean, he's a tough man to get a hold of, right? I mean, his time is very valuable, and so it's great to have a legend in Orange County join us. And I know you mentioned it, but he is our first official guest, and nobody better than a Anaheim Ducks and Los Angeles, Anaheim, whatever the name of the Angels are.
Don't try.
The Angels legend. So we got the market corner right now with some Orange County hockey and baseball.
Yes, we do. So, GA, I'm going to kick things off, and it's so much fun when I've had a chance to sit next with you on the broadcast. But we're mostly talking about what's going on the field, and I don't get a chance to really talk about you and what happened in your career and growing up here in Southern California. So, the first thing I want to ask you, and I kind of looking over your bio, which is so much fun to look over. I mean, going to Kennedy High School in Granada Hills, and a 3-sport star: basketball, football, baseball. When did you first pick up a baseball, GA? How long ago was that? And when did you decide? I'm going the Wayback Machine, man. So you're going to have to think about this.
I hate to disappoint that it was a very short process for me in baseball. I picked up baseball in the 4th grade, and I played for 4th and 5th and 6th grade, and didn't 7th grade, and didn't pick it back up until my junior year in high school. So not a lot of baseball, and I know fans probably hate to hear that. Like, he didn't grind. He didn't play all these years of playing baseball. And all I tell people is that I was just sprinkled with, and people you see on TV playing sports, and Guy as well, he understands. You just get a little sprinkled when you were born. That's it. It's just like you can't make that up. You can't earn that. You have to have some ability that's just been blessed with you. And I've been very thankful, and the reason why I got back into baseball in high school is because my dad called me in my junior year. He's like, hey, are you playing baseball? I'm like, nah, I'm playing basketball. He's like, you may want to pick up that bat again. So that's where it all started.
Well, I think that
if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking right now.
Wow.
Well, I mean, isn't it funny? I mean, that's the thing about, growing up, and you get that little nudge occasionally from somebody. Could be a parent, could be a coach, could be a brother or sister, a good friend, and being like, hey, why aren't you doing that? Or did you ever think about trying this? And I've said this for years and years and years, and I think that kids today have gotten away from it. But I think that when you play multiple sports, it certainly makes you a better, well-rounded athlete. So I think it's always beneficial. You use different muscles.
Agreed.
Things help you eventually, whatever you want to focus on later on. but I think that it is funny. It's like Mr. Destiny. It's like the path that you eventually choose and kind of go down that lane. But of course, there's a lot of baseball fans around the world that are happy that you picked that bat back up.
GA, I mean, the fact though that you got back your junior year, I mean, and you were a stud on the basketball court too. I mean, was there ever a thought in your mind that you were going to go the basketball route?
I mean, I'm gonna be just full disclosure. In high school, you just don't know what's going on. You're just participating. I love playing sports.
Yeah.
And I never thought about after high school. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I never thought about it. I wasn't a dreamer by any stretch of the imagination. I just, whatever was going on that day, that's just what it was. And I know I've heard the stories of guys that dreamed of this and that. And I just like, sometimes I just kind of get sick to my stomach. It's like, I never dreamt. I just did what was going on that day. And, you know, it ended up where it ended up. And don't get me wrong, I'm very thankful and blessed, but I've never thought that way. So when I talk to kids, I just always impart in, you know, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because no one ever invested in me to say, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? So I do that. I recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't be any more different. And I wasn't the exact opposite, but for me, it was like I loved to play hockey, and I wanted to make sure that as I grew up, that was my dream. It was like, I want to play in the Olympics. I want to be an All-American, and I want to play in the NHL. And so I kind of set those sights in the future, you know, never realizing like, hey, is it actually possible? But it's funny because for all of us to make it to the highest level of sports, it's interesting the path that we take, right? It's interesting that, you know, you start late and then you're just gifted in natural ability to be able to make that move. And so I guess the thing for me is like, you talk about, you know, talking to the youth sports kids. And I mean, is that just the general message that you're asking them, or is that the wisdom that you're trying to impart? Is that like, hey, everybody else is going to make their own way and it doesn't have to be the same way?
I think what for me, it's just more about like, I just want to impart to them that, you know, you can dream, you can think about things you want to do with what, you know, whether it be sports or whatever. It's just more along the lines of, you know, have your eyes open. You know, I wasn't that kid, you know. I always tell people that sports chose me. And I've always shared that. It chose me because I wasn't a person that dreamed. I just went day by day. So I like to invest in young kids, and, you know, I can't wait to have grandkids, you know, to share with things. But yeah, I'm just very thankful, you know, how things turned out.
But GA, that mentality is kind of how you approach day by day in your baseball career, right? I mean, you were never too high, you were never too low. You know, even sitting next to you on the broadcast chair, man, you are just like, you're even keel. I mean, nothing rattles you, and it's just you're always in the moment.
Yeah, I don't like to get too high, too low. It's just a thing for me that I can't handle the emotional lows and the emotional highs. So I've always shared that I wish I could enjoy the moment, like when we won, when Tim Salmon, how he felt when we won. I just could not get there. I couldn't get there. I just wanted to keep. And to be honest, you know, sitting next to you in a chair and what you guys do and sitting in a big chair, I have so much respect for that. You guys, man, like it's to sit and talk on live television and do what you guys do. I have the utmost respect for you guys and what you do. I sit and watch. I don't even like when I watch games now and I watch announcers. It's like the ones that are sitting in the big chairs, like, man, that's a lot, you know, and I have a lot of respect for that. You know, you guys are gifted, you guys are talented, and I love watching your craftsmanship. It's a craft to do what you guys are doing. So thank you for helping me. You've helped me be a better broadcaster because I watch what you do.
Well, that means a ton. I can't thank you enough, but I got to see the schedule come out, and whenever I sit next to GA, I'm like, okay, I am gonna get GA to smile. I'm gonna get him to laugh. That is I don't care what
Thank
else
you.
we talk about. That is my goal.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, there's no doubt, that Frenchie, he's been a great resource for the both of us, kind of getting us into that, different part of our career to be able to, talk about the sports that we love and things that we know intuitively and through our course of our career, we have all that experience and knowledge. So it's great to be able to put that out to fans on live TV. And of course, having someone sitting next to you that's able to direct you in the right way, tee you up on certain points that, I know the both of us want to be able to get across to the viewers. Frenchie's one of the best, and he's able to do that kind of seamlessly. And I know it's made my job certainly a lot easier. And I know with baseball, it's the same way. But when you're sitting next to Frenchie and you're doing the live thing, people ask me, what's the biggest challenge? And I actually had to really think about the biggest challenge of becoming a broadcaster. And I actually came up with the fact that, and I'd love to know what you think of this, is that when you go into the locker room and you walk in as, a former player, an alumni of the Angels, but with the moniker of broadcaster, I always find it sometimes difficult to get guys to open up to me. And I sometimes have to be very literal and say, this is totally off the record. And I just want to, hey, how are things going? Or I have to go up to them and say, like, hey, I want to talk to you about the game, tonight or last night. What are your thoughts? And then it's kind of broadcaster mode. So I always find it awkward in a way with how I can deal with the current players. Do you find that at all?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I do not talk to I don't talk to the players when I go to the stadium. I give them a space. I'm just very observant what's going on. I can watch the games, and I don't go in the locker room. I haven't been in the locker room. I go see, trainer that's still there, Smitty. I go talk to him, but I don't go. I'm that guy that just doesn't want to be in that space. I respect what they do. I've been on that side as well as you have as well. And what's made my job easier is Ken French asking me questions. And that really makes my job really easy because he has all the questions to ask me and all the information that I want to give. I just don't have I guess I would say I don't have the ability to go up and talk to a former player, to a current player. I never want to cross that line. Maybe it's probably not a good thing, but I just always want to respect their time and what they're doing. And so I'm thankful I have a Ken French who can help me navigate through a show. I do. You ask me so many questions, and it makes my job so much easier when you ask me these questions. You don't just give me a statement. You ask me a question, you make me think, and I appreciate that.
So you've never been asked, say, hey, we need you to go interview a current player to go down, ask them some questions.
No, no one ever asked me anything when I'm there.
Okay.
There's a couple players that come up and say hi. Joe Adele come up and say hi. But it's always very surface. Like when I was a young player at that age, I was told by Chili Davis, hey, go introduce yourself to all these players as a young player. And I did that. That doesn't happen anymore. I'm not sure why. I don't even want to speculate why, but I always use those resources and ask questions about with players that came before me and anything that can help me be a better player.
Yeah.
So this is my day. I go to the stadium. I sit on the bench in the dugout, listen to the manager, and I go upstairs and I just sit and wait until the show starts. We have a production meeting. You have production meetings, and this is what we're going to talk about. And that's my day. And it's kind of I love watching baseball. I love talking about baseball, but I wish there was a little bit more that I can help with.
So, hey, you know what, Frenchie, that sounds like maybe he might want to get into coaching or management.
Negative.
Oh, GA is want any part of that.
There's way too much time to do with that.
How about hitting instructor or something, right?
Well, they're not really trying to hear what I hear about hitting right now, what they're doing. So that's another conversation as well.
Oh my God. I can't imagine. GA, you talked about Chili and kind of, he was one of your mentors when you were a young player.
Mm-hmm.
What was your relationship with the media like as a player growing up in the big leagues?
I have to say, before I got there, I had a coach tell me, like, rookies should be seen and not heard. So I erred way on the other side, and I'm a natural introvert, so it just wasn't good for me for a long time because I just really didn't say a lot. They wanted more from me, and I got labeled as aloof, or he's disgruntled, or this and that. And then toward the end of my career, there was a reporter with the Register, Mark Wicker. We did an article together, and he finally labeled me. He's an introvert. That's why he doesn't talk.
And it took how many years for that?
Well, that was 15 years. So, how I got crushed all those years. But I found solace on the field. I love playing baseball. So, I took it. It didn't matter. But once people learned who I am and being an introvert, they finally understood me.
I have a fun GA story. So in our first podcast, GA, we talked about, Gibo mentioned that I was a one-man band. So I had the camera, I had the tripod, I had the microphone, and I'd come on out and stroll out to the Big A, and I'd set up my stuff. And Tim Mead and Larry Babcock back in the day I'd say, hey, Hughes, these are the players I like to talk to. And so I throw your name into the mix every now and then to see if I can get GA to come out. So you'd come walking out, and you're like laughing, like looking back at the dugout. And in one motion, you turn, and then you lose your smile. You're just like, just dead serious. You look at me and go, what can I do for you? And I'm like, holy cow. And so I'd ask my questions. You wouldn't even look at me, and you would just like answer. And they're like, we good? All right. See ya.
Those stories are crazy, man, because it's like hearing this now, like 30 plus years later, it's like, It blows my mind because that's not who I am. That's not me, the person. I was just being protective. That's all it was.
Yeah. And I can't imagine, GA, in today's world, with social media the way it is, you playing today, my God, like, can you imagine what it would be like?
Yeah.
He'd be all over social media.
I have no social media. This is the extent of my social media. I'm sitting there scrambling, trying to get on to do a podcast with you guys because I love you both. And I'm sitting there scrambling, like, how can I get on? How can I get on? Yeah, I don't have any social media whatsoever. Anything I hear is from my wife, my kids. They let me know. They share with me, but not my thing.
Well, I got to ask, because I know that throughout the course of my career, being a goalie, being stationed in one spot where like I couldn't hide, that I would get some interesting commentary from fans. I'll leave it kind of in that department. Some was better than others. Some was funny. Some of it was funny. Some of it was pretty cruel. There may or may not have been things thrown at me or dumped on me, but I can imagine standing out in right field, and I know you've shared some stories with me over some golf rounds that you've had some great interactions with fans similar to mine, some great and then some not too great. I know there's one that you shared with me about a certain fan. I think it's such a great story. I feel like you got to share it.
It is a great story. I never have ever really cross the line with fans. They can say what they want to say. I don't care. I just move on because there's nothing good going to come out of that. But yes, Ebo, you brought up this story. So the first time I went to Wrigley, I had all the years of interleague play. The Angels just never went there. And then finally, as a Brave, I went there and I walk on deck and a fan yells out to me, "Hey, Garret, I remember when you used to be good.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. But at that point in my career, as all the years of playing, I just turned around and said, so do I. The fans ate it up. I was the hero for 3 days of Wrigley. And that was just, just maturing over the years of being able to handle fans. And it was one of my most favorite on-field moments with fans, because generally, and Gibo knows, you really don't hear a lot of good things coming from the crowds.
Yeah.
But that was actually in being in Wrigley in that moment, it was fun, and I share that story with people.
Well, I mean, certainly as you get, a little bit older, and then you've been through a lot, and you've kind of seen and heard pretty much everything. It is interesting because you almost start to appreciate that banter. And I mean, your response is just so priceless, because someone's trying to get under your skin. Like, any fan wants to do hey, any edge you can get for your team, you're going to try to do, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Hilarious because, like the fan is probably like, I have no comeback. What am I going to say?
No.
Because that's
And-
one of the
and that
all-time
was-
greatest
that was-
comebacks.
And that was such a win for me. Because as players, we don't really get wins at all when it comes
No.
to fans. But
No.
it was a very good moment, and I think it was a good moment for both sides to see the humanity, humanizing us as people
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
sports. I think that was really a really good thing, because we, as and as well, we don't get to be humanized as well. We just looked at as athletes.
Yeah, we're like robots out there with
Yeah.
no
Yep.
feelings, and whether we're injured or not. I mean, it's just kind of like what are you going to do for my
Mhm.
team today? And
Yep.
then you got to move on, especially with you being in cities with the baseball, 3 or 4 games. That's pretty difficult. For hockey, we're in and out of the city unless it's playoffs. So the abuse you might take is just on that one night, and you go to the next city and get abused. But yeah, if I had to be in one of the rivalry cities for a number of days like the playoffs are, yeah, then it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, I've had people that I've known, like basketball players that I know, and then they were like, how are you in the city for 3 days?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you just have to just disappear. You just got to do your job. And, it's easy to go in one day and be gone another day, but the easiest thing is just to try to just disappear.
Did you ever, GA, I mean, being protected the way that you talk about and being an introvert, did you ever open up at all in an interview during your playing career and kind of let people in, or did you just take the other route and just decided to stay guarded and kind of keep everything close to the vest?
For the most part of my career, yeah, I just covered up. But toward the end of my career, I started being a little bit more open. I started to understand the media and how it works. And yeah, I really started to open up and, do the best that I could. People really kind of think it's kind of funny that I was really good friends at the end with page 2 of the LA Times when I went to actually to court and I went to court and, confessed on his side, and people couldn't really understand that. I'm like, we were pretty good friends toward the end. He understood me. I understood what he was trying to do, and he understood me, and we had a really good relationship.
Speaking of media, and people ask me this all the time, and it's certainly with the available media outlets of today, they said, hey, do you ever get media training back when you first started to play professionally? And I'm like, there was no media training. The media training for me, probably like you, was some veteran saying, hey, it's better for a rookie to be seen, not heard. And you wanted to make sure that, you didn't put yourself in front of a camera and say anything that could be controversial to any of your teammates or the organization. So I always kind of laugh at, like, media training was kind of learning by just watching your veterans or getting good veteran advice. But today, I mean, in baseball and hockey and the other major sports, I mean, I know it's a huge thing for the players of today to get that media training.
Yeah, I I didn't get any. I got the same that you got, just be seen and not heard. I was always learned by watching. That was my thing. I just watched and I listened, and that's how I learned. And I, for the most part, which probably helped, is I just kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, there's always guys in the team that want to talk, so I kind of deferred to them most times.
I didn't have to defer because I was always trying to find myself doing something different and just being in a training room and didn't want to deal with the media.
Yeah, that was the one solace right there. You could hide in the training room, and I think we've all done it before. We're like, I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
Who was the guy, GA? For you, Gibo, I can imagine Tamu was one of the guys that certainly liked the camera. Was there a guy that just didn't mind stepping out and taking, whether it was a good game or a bad game, getting in front of the cameras and answering the questions?
In baseball, it was more of what happened that night. So you really didn't have a choice. If something they wanted to talk about, the story, that's just exactly what it was. It wasn't like someone that just stood up every day and took the mic or whatever. Those are more team meetings when that player of the team would step up. There was Chuck Finley, he did that at times, but for the most part, you had to deal with your mess. If it was you or the other player, whatever the story was, that's who they were going to talk to. And it wasn't just one person.
I want you to take me back to you mentioned the Wrigley experience that you had, but I want to ask you of obviously 17 years in the big leagues, ballparks, favorite ballpark for you to play in, and not just hitter's ballpark, GA, but just overall experience. As you walk, I love that you're mobile. I love that you're mobile right now. By the way,
I have to be mobile because I have somebody that's over the house fixing my garage door.
Yeah,
so.
He's always got something going on. Hey, can you go today? No, I got somebody coming over to fix this. I'm like, can you fix anything? He goes, no, of course I can't fix anything.
I can't fix this. So my favorite place to play was old Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
well,
why is that?
That's a good.
Yeah. I never made it to the new one, but I made it to the old one.
But that's one of the beauties, I think, of your career. When you played in my career, were similar, where we got to play in some of the most iconic stadiums and arenas before all the new buildings and arenas were built. So for me, and I'm sure like you, we got to play in the old ones, and then we got to play in a lot of the new ones. So it's kind of a great thing to be able to look back. And I can't imagine being able to be in the Yankee Stadium of the, all of that history right there.
The one that made the most impact on me was the old Tiger Stadium.
Wow, that's another great one.
Yeah.
Why did it make that impact on you? What was it about
because of the size of it. It was just, everything was so small. Like the clubhouse was like, maybe 30 feet by 20 feet, and you got 25 guys in there. I never ate food when I was there because, it's just not a cool place to be. The bathroom had, and just, I'm going to just be full disclosure. There was like 3 stalls and like 5 showers and steam walk coming through the clubhouse. And when it rained, like the hallway to the clubhouse to the locker room would fill up, and we had to walk around to go through the stands to play the game. That was cool for me. It was not a great place to be in, but I was like, man. And then when the water wasn't even there, when you walked to the clubhouse, I had to duck to walk through the whole clubhouse to get to the dugout. It's like, so was everybody like 5'9" when they built this place?
Yeah, probably.
So those are great memories, and that doesn't happen anymore. But that was one of the coolest places to play. Is Tiger Stadium and Yankee Stadium. Those are cool places to play.
Now, with that, like in some of the old buildings that I played in, Boston Garden was one of the many, but they used to crank up the heat in the locker room, and of course it was a tiny little locker room with nothing. And so again, trying to get any advantage, it would be like a sauna in there, and we're trying to get ready for the game, and everybody's just boiling and sweating. And you're like, what are they doing? And it was these tricks of the trade of every home arena. It's hilarious to think about now. It's like, the NHLPA would be involved making sure that wasn't happening today. But, that was something that every time you went into one of those old buildings, you knew something was up.
Yeah, the gamesmanship, And you as a player, you just have to be mentally strong and just pass forward it because you know what they were doing. So you just move on and you try to go crush them on the field.
GA, you mentioned Yankee Stadium. What was it like making the run you guys did in 2002? You had to go through the Yankees, and I think you were just, a blip on their radar at the point. They didn't realize what you guys were about. What was that like, playing in that environment and doing what you guys did and silencing that crowd?
Well, we knew we played them very well. We had no fear whatsoever playing against the Yankees. And they knew that we could beat them because we beat them during the season. So to go in there and play, which for me was a treat to be able to play in that environment, because their fans are so loyal, it's in their blood. And to beat them in their stadium was like such a treat. I mean, it was just so much fun walking out of the stadium, know that we beat them.
Well, listen, I know that, having a run to any kind of championship in any sport, it's like a war of attrition, right? You got to keep people healthy, a lot of injuries, certainly open opportunity for other players. But during that stretch, I mean, I remember just being a fan and watching you guys go through that. Was there a defining moment for you guys as a team that kind of galvanized you, that you were like, whether it was the win against the Yankees or some part of that experience that said, like, this is ours. We know that, we're confident enough to be able to win this whole thing?
Well, it was in June of that year that we had this series against the Mariners, and the fans showed up, and we just went on a run after that. And no one ever talked about we're playing the Yankees or we're playing this or that. It was just about, what are we going to do today to win the game? And it was understood with everybody, which doesn't happen a whole lot, but it happened that year. And there was a couple other years, maybe 04, 08, and 09 that we had that. But it was just more of, because we do it every day, that there's a lot of things that go unsaid because we're preparing to play that day and do our job that day. So there was nothing from my perspective that, one event that happened at all, because we play every day. So it's more of an, I always share with people, it's more of, for me, what's more gratifying is the journey. And being every day, and it's like literally every day. You go to the park. I remember talking with Troy Gloss in Game 7 before the game started, and we were stretching. I'm like, man, it's finally over. We're not playing tomorrow. I'm tired. I mean, that's where we're at. It's every day, and that was spring training, and all the way through the season. It's like, man, let's just get it over with. Let's do our job tonight, and tomorrow we can rest.
Yeah, and party, right?
No, the next day, no, I'm gonna be honest with you. The next day, I got up and took my kids to school. There was no party.
Why does that not surprise me?
I got up.
He had responsibility.
Yes.
I got up the next day and took my kids to school. So that's a snapshot of who I am.
I love that, and you mentioned personalities and being a group and how it was kind of unique, the unspoken word that team had. But I mean, you've been around, GA, so many different clubhouses. How did all the personalities on that 02 team work? I mean, you mentioned Gloss, but then you had Benji Molina, you had Erstad, you had Percy, you had Spezio. I mean, it goes on and on and on. How did all those personalities come together to make that run work?
I think for me, it was more of the personalities worked because of who was in charge, and Mike Socia, and he treated everybody, let them be who they are, but he still, commanded the clubhouse. He was the leader, but he gave us the latitude to be who we were. And it really worked because what you have to do to get ready for the game, do your job, get ready for the game. And I think that's what everybody looked at each other for. It's like, oh, okay, if he does it this way, but on the field that night, we're getting the job done. And I think that, and Guy would understand that as well, is like, if you're doing your job on the field, no one's going to say anything to you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I think the big thing too is that's the trust between, your manager, coaching staff, and the players, is that, hey, if you're doing your job on, the ball field, and I trust you to do that. And when you have 9 guys on that field trusting in each other that you can do your job, I don't have to make up, right? That's where people get in trouble. Like, I'm trying to do too much because I might not have confidence in my other teammate, whether it's right or wrong. Some people try to do too much, and that causes obviously problems with, their own position. So I think that's a key thing, is that in any relationship with teammates and coaching staff, is the fact that there's that trust and accountability. And you get a certain amount of leeway with your coaching staff if you're doing all the right things on the field, and then, whatever it takes you to get prepared, because nobody is the same. Paul Kariya and Teemu Selanne could not be two different people on this planet. They were magic together. They prepared completely differently. Paul would be in a dark room stretching, so focused. Teemu would be sitting in the training room with Jerry Springer on TV right before the game. But that's how he prepared, and that's how Paul prepared. And I was probably somewhere in the middle of that, but but they were accountable, and they did the things on the ice that they needed to do. And
I've seen that for sure.
Respect.
For sure. I've seen that.
I'd love to see GA in the training room watching Jerry Springer.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
GA, you mentioned, we touched on your emotions and kind of being even keel, not too high, too low. But during that World Series run, especially when you guys were in the World Series against San Francisco, was there a moment when you felt the emotions, you felt maybe the crowd, you felt the moment a little bit more than another time?
Sorry to disappoint. No,
you're not disappointed. That's actually the answer I was looking for. I knew you were going to say
sorry
that.
to just disappoint. No, it was just the next game. I mean, I just, it was that game that night. Yeah, it was just, I never got caught up in the emotion side of playing sports. It was just like, let me do my job tonight.
Well, listen, I want to ask you this question, because I know personally for myself and other athletes, especially when you get into playoffs and you're trying to win a championship, there's a real sense of relief. Like that, people say, like, how excited were you, and how great was it, and how much fun was it? And a lot of times the answer is, like, honestly, I was just so relieved that, we did what we wanted to do and were able to accomplish. I mean, is that true? Is that true kind of almost for that run that you had in 2002, that it was a sense of relief when you were able to win?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you try to just do your job that night, and afterwards it's like, you can't enjoy it until it's over. And I didn't have a smile until we won. I never, let on anything that I was enjoying myself, other than the fact of just trying to get the job done.
I got something that I can always get some emotion out of Garret on the broadcast if I bring it up.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Called the yellow line.
Oh.
I am talking about, for those that might not know, back in 2018, I had to look this up today before we chatted to make sure what year it was. 2018, you used to be able to hit a home run in right field, and there was the scoreboard out there, and you had to get it into the stands for a home run like you normally do, but they dropped the line from 18 feet to 8 feet. So they have this line. You hit 272 homers as an Angel. GA, how many more would you have hit if the line was down when you played?
I would say conservatively 75 more, 5 a year,
at that.
15 years.
Yes.
Conservatively.
That's conservatively.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so many doubles that bounced off that wall.
Yeah, and that's
When I saw the line went up, I was like, okay, but they put it up for the unicorn, is what I call him.
Yeah, it was right before
Much
Shohei
deserved.
entered yes.
I there's no other player that I hold that much esteem and respect for what he does. It's insane what he does. So yeah, for them to bring the line down for him, it's okay.
Well, I mean, GA is so good at this.
Now.
Right?
Yes.
This is like being on a set and doing a pregame show between the three of us.
Yeah, without the white light and people standing behind the cameras and.
Yeah, listen, I got my whole crew trying to make me look better right now because somebody reached out and said you need to turn a light on. So, but listen, seriously, you're talking about Shohei Ohtani, and
yeah.
My question was going to be like, who in today's baseball world, besides Ohtani, like gets you excited about turning the TV on and watching a game as a fan? Is there anybody else besides Shohei?
No, because what he's doing is just so far beyond what anyone else is doing. I know pitchers, I know position players, but he's combining the two at the level that he's combining it at is just unreal. There's no words to describe that, what he's doing. So yes, I will turn on the TV and watch when he's playing for sure.
Was there a player when you were playing that, I know Shohei, like you mentioned, is a unicorn, but somebody that you admired playing against, playing with, that really was like, wow, this guy, you mentioned kind of, you fortunate to be sprinkled a little bit, as a kid, that really had this uncanny talent that you were just awed by.
So yes, for sure. There's several players, Juan Gonzalez, Manny Ramirez, these are Edgar Martinez, but from a talent standpoint and what they were gifted as a hitter, Barry Bonds was off the charts for me. How do you sit and not get pitched to for 4 days and then someone throws your ball over the plate and you hit it over the fence? He had the uncanny ability to lay off pitches off the plate all the time. I mean, they can talk about Ted Williams, they can talk about Babe Ruth, but you can't tell me they were better than this guy. From a hitting craftsman standpoint, he's by far the best hitter I've ever seen.
Pitch recognition, everything. I mean,
everything. He saw the ball. There's no way. He saw the ball earlier than all of us did.
Yeah.
And you could see it. He just took pitches and he just waited for his pitch. And, the quickness and how short his swing was to the ball. I mean, there was no wasted space at all. And in hitting, you can't waste any space and do the things that he did. And what I mean by wasted space is that you only have so much time when the ball's coming to the plate to take the correct path in that time, whatever milliseconds it is. And he did it repeatedly over and over. I did it for a living and I wasn't close to that. So I could recognize how gifted he was.
I say Bo Jackson. You say what?
I say Bo Jackson. I say the best athlete that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the first time I met him, the first thing in my mind was he's 6'3". He's looking me in my eyes. And the things that he does on the football field was incredible for me. Like, I mean, and I'm sitting here, I'm not what is it called? I'm not a fanboy or whatever, but
yeah,
I was like, whoa, that's Bo Jackson. And I met him for the first time in spring training in 94. I sat between him and Chili Davis. They put me there intentionally. Yeah. And he told me the first day, he gave me directions, 2 snaps, one for sugar, one for cream for my coffee. So every morning I had to have his coffee ready for him. And I did. And by far, the things that he did on the baseball field and the football field, and I could only get him to talk about college football. He wouldn't talk about the NFL. So, yeah, we had some fun conversations, and JT Snow as well he drummed up college football, stuff to get Bo riled up. But yeah, he by far, I think, he's the person that was sketched at birth that this is the prime athlete and he can do anything he wants to do.
I mean, that's amazing because I actually just got a chance to meet Bo Jackson like 2 months ago at a celebrity golf tournament out in the desert. And I'm not joking, there are probably 100 sports celebrities, and everybody that was there wanted to meet Bo Jackson.
For sure.
And I stood and I watched him hit range balls. And I mean, he was just crushing the ball. Now, I'm not a big guy, so I don't hit the ball very far. You do hit the ball very far because I've played with you. But the sound, they always say, like, as pro golfers hit a golf ball, there's that different sound to it.
It was the same with the bat. It was the same with the bat as well. He had a different sound.
Incredible. So, I mean, just the sheer strength and power that he has, even today, was just a sight to see. I mean, like you're saying, being like a fanboy, I was like, I almost went up and said, "Hello, Mr. Jackson." Right? It's like, I stopped myself. I'm like, okay, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. But I'm like, Bo, how are you? Nice to meet you. Incredible athlete.
So I have a funny story.
Yeah,
I have a funny story that I can share with you guys. When I got called up, he took me out to buy me 3 suits. He said, "Hey, I'm going to take you out and buy you 3 suits. And, when you make your first $1 million, you're going to pay me back." And to this day, and the last time I saw him, he did a speaking engagement at the California Hall of Fame thing. And the first thing came out of his mouth was like, "Hey, where's my money?"
Really?
Yes.
Is he charging you interest for all these years?
I know, right?
Oh, it's fantastic. GA, you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you can't wait to someday be a grandparent. And I got to meet your son, Trey. Actually, Gibo and I did. We went, he had a shoe shop in San Diego when we were doing a show down there for the Ducks. And he had classic shoes, Air Jordans, and just stuff we couldn't find. It was so cool. And then you told me about him marrying Frankie Rodriguez's daughter, which is a couple years ago. We talk about Angels lineage here. I mean, that is so cool. And tell me how that happened, because you said it didn't really happen from an Angels perspective, right?
Yeah, it was more of a friend of his who he was playing basketball with at Point Loma. He ended up transferring to Concordia, and he's like, "Hey, I got this girl I want you to meet," and he didn't know anything about it. And so, he introduced him, and they talked a little bit, and then it kind of went dry for a little while. And then, he recircled back, and the rest is history.
So, but at what time did the two kids realize that, like, hey, I think I know who your dad is, and vice versa? And I mean, did they find that out organically, or did someone like yourself say, "Wait a minute, I know who that is"?
Well, the husband is always the last to know. So they were long dating before I even knew anything. Those particulars, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they knew each other as kids, but they don't remember. And we actually have a picture, of them because my daughter was a gymnast and she was a gymnast, and there's a picture of them as he was a 10-year-old in the picture with them as well. So that's really, really fun stuff.
GA, we've been talking for 45 minutes. It seems like 5 minutes. This is...
And now it's been fun. It's been cool.
I know. So GA today is what? Tell me about your schedule here, GA. Besides letting repairmen come into your house.
I could say my it's fluid.
You think that after all these years, Frenchie, you're going to get anything out of him still?
I thought I'd try. I thought maybe he'd forget and I could slide something in there.
Well, after 50 minutes, we've lulled him to sleep, right?
Yes.
And I have an everlasting honeydew list. So, and we can all understand that.
Yep. I'm on board.
Yes. Well, GA, I can't thank you enough for joining us. This has been awesome. Guest number 1 on the Mask and the Mic. And again, just a pleasure to sit next to you when we had the chance to do that on the TV broadcast. And I know Gibo likes swinging it out there as well with you. So a very fitting first guest for us. And we admire you both on and off the field, what you did and what you are doing. So we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us.
Well, thank you for being the first guest. It's an honor for me. I mean, it's just, you guys are cool people to be with. And I appreciate everything you've helped me with, Frenchie, and being on TV. I mean, you've been a very good support for me because that's not an easy job to do. And Gibo, I love hanging with you as well. I mean,
Yep. He's my boy. We have a good time together, and I get a lot more out of him on the golf course than most people.
Likewise.
I love it. Well, this hopefully won't be the last time we have you on, GA.
No.
So much more to talk about, man. I mean, obviously everything that you've done. So thanks for joining us. Episode 2 of The Mask and the Mic. Make sure you check us out on Spotify, iTunes, or should I say Apple Podcasts, and of course, The Mask, The Mic, our YouTube channel. So again, GA, well done. Get back to your guy fixing your garage door or whatever's going on over there. And we'll chat with you very soon.
All right, man.